Good afternoon, everyone. Patrick Scott here. It is almost 2 o'clock on the West Coast. I'm in Las Vegas, and this is my favorite time of year. I just love the fall. And people have this erroneous thought that Las Vegas is, 100 degrees all year round. It's not. I know we don't have snow very often, but there are seasons here. It gets cooler. In fact, right now, this is so funny. I'm wearing my vest and thinking, oh, it's so cool. And it's cool in the mornings, but it's 81 degrees. So I know it's a happy Halloween, everyone. I'm moving it onto my table so I don't jiggle. It's Halloween, and here it Heads Up. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, you're going to see my reel that I posted with the Halloween costumes here at Heads Up. We are a community mental health facility, and we see a lot of kids, and so we do it up. We decorate for all the holidays, and I remember being in elementary school, and the teachers would decorate bulletin boards and things like that. So we do that here. It's kind of fun. And we had our meeting, today, and I always like to bring in. It's kind of a mystery why, like, what triggers us. What are we under the influence of? And so you've heard me talk about at length about astrology, numerology, the Schumann resonance, which is the gamma radiation hitting the Earth. You've heard me talk about the sun, moons, and the stars, and you've heard me joke about lions and tigers and bears. You have your environment. You have Costco on a Saturday. You have your own particular predilections or patterns about whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you like to be around people, whether you don't like very many people at all. You have the getting older, the gastrointestinal challenges, the monthly cycles and rhythms, and so on and on and on and on. And so today I want to look at energy, but from a more personal point of view. I want to help you understand and really defend against and normalize, I think, some of what we are going through. And I'm going to talk about current events. I'm going to talk about the current global events and local events and national events, and the talk about the importance about modulating and managing what you let in. We're going to talk about that. One of my patients, and I guess I thought this was new to me, but a few months, one of my newer patients, actually a veteran, talked about doom scrolling. And I had never heard that term. I didn't know what doom scrolling is. And I have my phone here somewhere. Apparently, doom scrolling is when you just sit there and you're just constantly looking, apparently, at bad news or social media or news or whatever it is, and that it's not very nice stuff. And so we talked about that. In fact, for this particular patient, we set up homework that they would stop that, that instead of wallowing in self-pity, they would not look at those things. Now, I'm going to juxtapose that up against this idea that we are always at choice and we are always choosing. Last time we talked about the locus of control, where you perceive control falls in your life, which means that there are some people who believe that they are 100% responsible for their happiness. They are 100% accountable for everything that happens, and that no matter what happens, what disaster or misfortune befalls them, they're going to handle it. They're going to grab it by the horns. They're going to take that hill. They're going to do it 100% of the time. And then we talked about the opposite side of that particular spectrum, which is people who take very little, if any, accountability or responsibility, that it's everyone else's fault. And even there are people, so there's it's everyone, like my family did it to me or my parents did it to me. But then there are people who will blame luck or karma or the astrology chart or whatever it was, the birth order. I was the middle child, that's why I can't, and so on. So we'll go through that, and we'll go through some of the permutations of that. The intention today and why we're doing this is the Earth, in case you haven't noticed, is under siege. We are under siege. Now, I often use my mother, and for those of you of a certain age, I would have you think about your parents and grandparents. There's been stuff on the planet since the planet was created. And what I mean by stuff is turmoil. Um, there is a theory that says that if we are not challenged, we don't grow. There's a metaphor about forging a steel sword, or like a saber or a katana, like a ninja sword, that the most effective swords are those that are forged and reforged and pounded and pounded and reforged and redone. The strongest pottery is fired multiple times. Um, my daughter-in-law says I look exceptional. Well, I'm so happy. I'm glad that I have fans. Um, and there's this idea, and it's the hero's journey, and it's echoed in scripture, it's echoed in sutras, it's echoed in all different kinds of literature, right? The idea that the person goes through all of these outrageous misfortunes that polish their character. You could use Shakyamuni Buddha as an example. You can use Jesus as an example. You can use Muhammad as an example. You can use many, the Dalai Lama. You can use Gandhi, Martin Luther King. And of course, the one side is that, what do we do to our leaders? Well, we persecute them. That's what we do. And in order to be a leader, you're out there in front. And I'm going to make a K-pop Demon Hunter reference, so get ready. I just watched it last weekend. The hero's journey by its nature is the path of being forged through obstacles, barriers, misfortune, challenge, strife, whatever, to polish our character, sometimes to polish our physical body, to be better, to be closer to our creator, to take it to a spiritual context, to make us better than we were. So, watched K-pop Demon Hunters because my tween girls made me. I am a therapist. I see tween girls, and they want to know what I know about Taylor Swift. They want to know what I know about BTS. They want to know what I know about K-pop Demon Hunters. They want to know. So, I believe that this keeps me young. So to the extent I look great for 66, it is I am challenged. I am forged in the fires of tweens and teenagers every day. I am forged by working with people. I'm forged by working with veterans. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's my life's work. And they challenge me. They keep me on my toes. Just now we did a staff meeting. And happy Halloween, everybody. And then they love to give me a hard time. They give me a hard time. The joke here, just so you know, the joke here at Heads Up. Now remember, I'm a co-owner and I'm the clinical director. I am the boss of all the clinicians. And I think I've created enough safety where they really feel safe to give me a hard time, and they do. So the joke is I'm running the staff meeting, right? And I say it's a joke because invariably I don't get a lot of the details wrong. I don't get the details right. And I'm forever being corrected. It's not 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock. It's not this day, it's not that day. It's so fun. And I take it in good stride, and I would just put it out there. Okay, let's talk about the holiday schedule, everyone. This is a funny example. On December 19th, we're having our Heads Up holiday party. It starts at 2 o'clock. We are closing the clinic at 1 o'clock. So everybody's writing, And then, of course, I get, no, we're closing the clinic at 2 o'clock to have our holiday party. And then someone says, no, Dr. Scott, it's 1 o'clock. We're closing at 1 o'clock. Okay. Everybody got that? It's 1 o'clock. We're closing 1 o'clock. Then somebody else from the front desk says, no, it's last patient at 1 o'clock. So if you have your hour or 50-minute sessions, as therapists, no, it's 1. And I just have to laugh because this is very typical that, I say something and, oh, no, it's this. Oh, no, it's that. Oh, no, it's not this. So, and I totally take it in good stride. So I am forged in the fires of my tweens and my teenagers who just challenge me. Funny story, and I've said it before, and you can hear it again. 15-year-old boy comes in one day, a badass. And if you're parents of teenagers, you know what I'm talking about. He is a badass. Teenagers don't come to therapy when things are going well. And so he comes in, he looks at me and he looks me up and down. He's a buff, like he's been working out football player, beefy dude, 15-year-old comes in, he looks at me up and down. He goes, Dr. Scott, what kind of a doctor are you? Anyway, you know what? I'll show you. So typically how this works is the teenager sits over there on the couch. The parent sits on that chair because the parent can't get too close to the teenager because the teenager will bite them or something. So it's kind of a dynamic. And I sit here in my chair. And it's a very small office, very humble, beautiful view. I've got a beautiful, view of the outside. It's lovely. I love my little office. I'm getting a new one, by the way. And he looks at me, and Mom is sitting right there, and he's over there, and he's just kind of grumpy. And he goes, "What kind of a doctor are you, anyway?" I said, "Oh well, before I can speak, he goes, "Are you the money one or the other one?" I said, "Oh, I don't follow." He goes, "Well, MD stands for money doctor, right?" And I said, "It does?" He goes, "Yeah, MD stands for money doctor, so that anybody that has an MD makes a lot of money." I said, "Well, that's actually not too far off. Good job." I go, "What's the other one?" He goes, "Are you the poor, hungry doctor, PhD?" I thought that was really funny. So I am the other one. I have a PhD, not an MD. And when I tell my physician colleagues, they laugh because it's funny. It's a kid. Anyway, so these kids challenge me. Everybody challenges me to continue to forge myself. So I watched K-pop Demon Hunters. And for those of you that know me, I'm a Kumu, a teacher of Huna. And one of the things that we do is help people with unwanted energies in their bodies, including demons and entities and unwanted emotions and beliefs and things like that. We help people clear and do release work. And I just love that movie. I'm sorry. I don't usually watch anime. I don't watch cartoons. I'm over Pixar. I'm over Disney. I'm just not so interested in cartoons. But I think it was Friday night. It'd be a week ago tonight. Sat in my apartment and watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and what a wonderful story of the hero's journey. Right. So the premise is the world. It's really Korea is populated with humans, and that there's a whole layer of demons, like an underworld. Now, this is not a new story. This is a story that's thousands of years old, that there's hell, and there's the devil, and there's devilish forces and dark energies, entities. And so there's a character representing the devil, which is this like Wizard of Oz, evil, barky voice character in the underground, right? And then there's some demons that are a boy band, and they are called the Saja Boys, I think. Saja Boys. And then there is a girl group, a K-pop girl group called Huntrix, and they are literally the K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, I know this sounds silly and pedantic, but it's the hero's journey. And so as the story goes, I don't think I'm going to ruin it for you. It's not really a spoiler because it's the movie starts with these opposing forces, right? You've got the demons that are trying to take over the earth, and then you've got Huntrix, which represents the good and all things that are good, and they're trying to protect and seal the earth. Let's just say it's really Korea is what they're looking at, but they call it the Hunmoon, and the Hunmoon is they want to create this bubble, this safety protection, so that the demons can't get it. You vanquish all the demons, and then the earth, let's just say, is protected and is all in light and beautiful, and that's great. So this is the movie, and the music's great, and this song "Golden," which is their kind of the title track, has broken every record. It's beat Taylor Swift. So just so you know, and I know this is important to you, Taylor Swift and "Golden" by Huntrix has taken the #1 and #2 top, and there's some balloons for you. The #1 and the #2 spot on the Billboard Top 100 for the last few weeks. The Ophelia, the song that the Taylor Swift. I feel so silly. I know all about this, just so you know. Totally involved in pop culture because I don't have to. I love it. I just think it's great, and it keeps me young. And so the idea is that now let's take it out of cartoons and put it into the real story of EJ, who is the lead singer, portrays Rumi in K-pop Demon Hunters. Her stage name is EJ. She has a different Korean name, EJAE, and she's a very tall, willowy 33-year-old Korean American woman. Beautiful, just beautiful. And her story, her individual story, and I may cry because it's really very moving. Um, in Korea, K-pop, which stands for Korean pop music, is really quite a big thing. It's globally very, very big movement in terms of pop music. BTS, these boy bands, the seven-member of BTS, and so on. Well, they have, I don't know what to call them, but like production companies, yeah, production companies that train artists. So it reminds me of like the old studio system in Hollywood where you would be contracted by a studio and they would put you through school and teach you dance, teach you how to sing, teach you how to move, teach you how to dress, and they would shape you into a star. They would make you a star. And that was back in the 30s and 40s in the United States. Well, now in various Asian countries like Thailand and China, Taiwan, um, Korea, Japan, they have these production companies that pretty much do the same thing. Some of them around acting and some of them, many of them around music production. And so EJ tells the story about how when she was a teenager, she so wanted to be a singer and composer and arranger. And she was picked up by one of these production companies and she was with them for 10 years. And I don't know the financial details. I think you get paid a small salary, but it's, it's a pittance and you're living in dorms. It's almost like university. And she was with this production company for 10 years and then they just fired her. She never made it. She never debuted. She never made a recording. She never did anything because she was too old, didn't have the right look, didn't fit in, wasn't Korean enough, wasn't white enough, wasn't American enough. And I think for those of you out there that are of multiple cultures know what I'm talking about, where because of our global melting pot, I talk to black people who aren't black enough. I talk to Mexican people who aren't Mexican enough. I talk to Asian people who aren't Asian enough. And they get grief on either end. If you're like Korean American, well, you're not really Korean. You weren't born and raised there, but you're not really American because you look Korean, and so on. You get the drift. So this poor girl, her whole life has been in the pursuit of this dream of becoming a K-pop idol, K-pop performer, and she's abandoned. She's just kicked to the curb. Now, I don't know the details of what happened after she was let go by her production company, but imagine all she had ever done was work for this production company, making pennies, really, struggling to become a performer, and the parent company just basically said, "Sorry, you're not going to make it." She's kicked to the curb. Um, she's now the lead singer of a girl group that is this century, the 21st century, um, most streamed, viewed group. Now, the group's a cartoon, right? But there are three women who are Korean American who do the voices for these. And so they premiered on Jimmy Fallon a couple of weeks ago. And it was magnificent. So if you're on YouTube, just look up Huntrick's performance on Jimmy Fallon and Golden performance on Jimmy Fallon. It's really remarkable. And whether you like the music, you like the song or not, this young lady, her name is EJ. I don't know what her other name. She has probably a Korean name or something, but she's very, very beautiful and very tall. And it's so hard for me to imagine that she was kicked to the curb. And she's going on a lot of interviews now because she's really, really hot. She just released her own single a couple of days ago, which is just magnificent. She has a range, 5-6 octave range. I mean, it's absolutely flawless. She's just amazing. And it's hard to imagine. Now, this is the question. If and this is an example, and I want you to think about yourselves and how you've been forged, how you've been polished. And I have the question for you at this juncture is, would you be who you are today had you not gone through those challenges? Had you not been polished? Have you not been challenged? Right? I happen to like her music and this music. I really do. It's really catchy. It's pop music. I'm also a musician, and I also trained musicians for many years. And this woman's command. And what I love, one of my favorite things is when somebody is, well, famous or has amazing skills and you wouldn't know it. And EJ talks about being on a Korean Airlines flight recently, last few months, and a flight attendant recognized her. She had a mask on, sunglasses, and she's flying. And they recognized her because you have to understand, she's the voice of the most popular movie, the most popular soundtrack, the most popular song in the history of anything. This is being, I'm trying to think of the girl group that they beat out, Destiny's Child. You know, some of you don't know who Destiny's Child. In the 20th century, the 1900s, for those of you young people, in the 20th century, Destiny's Child was the most popular stream. We didn't stream back then, but we had records and tapes and CDs and sorry, Destiny's Child. You may not know the term Destiny's Child, but you may have heard the lead singer of Destiny's Child, a young woman named Beyonce Knowles. That's Destiny's Child. They were the top grossing, top listened to, top selling albums in all of the 20th century. Now, for those of you that are my age, beating out the Supremes, you know, beating out other girl groups of that time. Huntrix, three performers, Ray Ami, EJ, and Audrey Nuna, are three Korean American, essentially studio performers who have now been are the voices of this K-pop Demon Hunters movie. They and this song, Golden, has surpassed as a girl group the sales and the volume of Destiny's Child, led by Beyonce before she became a solo act. I'm just putting this in perspective. And to see EJ be interviewed, she is the sweetest, shyest, nice. Like, she's somebody I want to hang out with. She's kind of like Adele. If you know Adele, the singer, super folksy. You would never know. You would never in a million years know that she is who she is. And you especially wouldn't know because her face isn't even on the movie. It's just her voice. Anyway, I want to move past this into the idea about your struggles, your challenges, those obstacles you are defeating on a daily basis is really what is propelling you to greatness in your life. And I don't really I'm not even trying to be melodramatic. Think about it. Think about all the things at your lifespan that you have accomplished at this point. You know, whatever you're proud of. Kids, great parent, taking care of your parents, taking care of your kids, career, money, you know, artwork. You know, what have you accomplished? If you just run down the top two or three things that you're most proud of, and I could do it, but you know, some of my accomplishments. Um, I have some questions for you. If you look back on those things, sobriety. I happen to know that we have some people here that are in the program, and I know it's Alcoholics Anonymous, but they openly talk about their program and their recovery, and they count them by the days. You know, my older brother I've talked about is 50 years in the program, 50 years in recovery, 50 years sober from alcohol, and proud of it, still proud of it, still goes to meetings, still leads meetings, still sponsors people, and that's a huge accomplishment. And I say bravo to any of you that are in recovery. Now, people who don't struggle with addiction, maybe you don't understand that, what's getting over an addiction. I am proud that I beat stage 4 cancer. I was told it was terminal. I was told that I would not survive. I was told I needed to get my affairs in order. I was 55, 56, 57 years old, I think. And that's sobering and terrifying. And through the use of all these tools that I teach, I beat cancer. I beat stage 4 cancer. I'm proud of that. That's a big accomplishment. Now, the questions. Those things that you are most proud of, was it easy? I'm going to stop there because I want to talk to you about what's going on in the world right now in terms of social media, influencers, that sort of thing. We are in a culture, how can I say this, where if we are not careful, there is an expectation that everything we want or anything that we would like to accomplish should be easy. Think about it. The microwave mentality. I want it now. That anything that I want, I shouldn't have to work that hard for. I should just have it handed to me. And we're in a very, I'm going to talk at length a little bit before we conclude today just about what's going on with the government shutdown, because that's the most salient and recent example about how it's really touching people. And it touches people here in my life because I work in a low income clinic. Everybody in this building is on EBT or welfare or food stamps or SNAP or Section 8 or Medicaid or, veterans benefits or something like that. So it's very real here. It heads up. It's very real that our clients are faced with they just can't buy groceries now. And so you can say what you want. Now, I see both sides. I see there's welfare fraud. There's people that maybe need to get a job. They're able-bodied, blah, blah, blah. I see that part. And I see the elderly, the mentally ill, the disabled who also are not going to have food stamps. And so that's a very real pressing thing. Now, those things you're most proud of that have polished your soul to be more perfect, were they risk-free? Was it handed to you? Was it convenient? Was it easy? Was it fun? Was it guaranteed? Was it overnight? Was it convenient? Was it on your way to anything? Or did you have to go out of your way to get that PhD or to get that college degree or to graduate high school or to have that kid or to raise that kid or to keep that kid off of drugs? And so take a look at your life right now and assess for yourself those things you're most proud of. And I can tell you with great confidence that it's doubtful anything you have accomplished that you are proud of, you worked your ass off for it. That's just, I think, how it goes. The thing about this, really looking at it from a 30,000 foot perspective, is that spiritually, the theory goes, and you've heard me talk about this before, our soul doesn't do growth very much in lifetimes of ease and wealth. I'll say that again. Souls don't grow and perfect themselves to be closer to their creator through lifetimes of ease and wealth. That what polishes us to get through our karma, to change our patterns, to be better, is through trial and tribulation and learning and trial and error and mistakes and picking yourself up when you're face down in the ditch on the side of the path, right? We talk about being on path, being on purpose. Have you ever found yourself face down in the ditch on the side of your path, like going, holy crap, what did I do? That kind of thing. And I'm smiling because I have been there. I have been face down, not even on the path, face down in the ditch on the side of the path, underwater, muddy, that kind of thing. And I'm saying it a bit tongue in cheek because I want you to understand, I don't know that life was meant to be easy. I don't know that we incarnate for ease and comfort. I think we could attain lives of ease and comfort through hard work, but I don't think that life by its very nature, just by the trials that we go through, was ever intended to be a walk in the park, to be easy. The Buddhists talk about the Four Noble Truths: birth, old age, sickness, and death. And those things happen to everyone. And I have had the great fortune, some of the stories. I've worked with many celebrities, many very, very wealthy people. I have told you in no uncertain terms, some of the most miserable people I have met have been billionaires. Um, sorry. And I haven't met, again, people don't come to me because they're blissfully happy. They come to me to work through their stuff and to work through those challenges. And so I'm not necessarily a good resource. My joke is I've been rich and I prefer rich. Um, so let's bring it full circle to what's going on in the country right now and your sensitivity. If you're watching me and you follow me, you understand that we are impacted. So I'm looking at Joshua's comment. Even in the animal kingdom, the basics of just survival is not easy. By comparison, we have it very easy, unless you're stuck at a red light. Joshua knows me very well, and he knows that I have a history of being rather impatient. So the other thing that I will tell you, and I'm only slightly kidding, the stoplights here in Las Vegas are really long. I don't know if you've ever been to Las Vegas and driven around, but because every single intersection has turn lanes, and so those of you that live here know exactly what I'm talking about. So you miss the light, it's yellow, you stop, and you have to wait a long time. Now I'm saying it's probably 4 or 5, 6 minutes, but 4 or 5, 6 minutes just sitting there is a long time. Anyway, Josh has been in the car with me when I've been a little impatient about waiting for these lights. And I think this is just a normal thing that we deal with. Struggle's real. So we humans are bombarded by energies at all times. Now, some of us are more resilient than others. If you are on a spiritual path and you're meditating and you're going through practices, and you're trying to get more in touch with your emotions and your thinking and manage your thinking, manage your physical body, connecting with source, spirit, God, religion, whatever it is, you're going to become more sensitive to energy. Now, the good news is you're more sensitive to energy. You're able to do more intuitive things. You're able to trust your gut more. You feel more connected to the world around you. The downside and the other factor is, congratulations, you're more sensitive to energy. And I joke about, Costco on a Saturday. I joke about, the state fair or rock concerts or Electric Daisy Festival or nightclubs or, that kind of stuff. And I noticed that as I've gotten older and more sensitive to energy, that I'm not as comfortable in those places as I used to be. Now, there are those of you out there who seek out those places. I know you. I know many of people love those crowds and love the energy of the crowd and pick up the energy of a concert and the energy of a festival and the Las Vegas Strip, just or Times Square in New York. I am, yeah, and I'm also know that there are many of you like me who are fairly introverted, and you kind of try to, stay. So, for example, I do intake evaluations, psychiatric evaluations of veterans who come into our program here, and I make a distinction. There's a place, in the intake evaluation where we talk about isolation, and a lot of veterans, by virtue of their post-traumatic stress disorder, are really not comfortable in crowds, and they're not comfortable with people. Here in the Las Vegas Valley, the next big town over, and it's not very big, is called Pahrump. And we joke you go over the hump to Pahrump because there's a mountain you have to go over. It's about 45 minutes to an hour drive from Las Vegas to get to Pahrump. It's excruciatingly rural, meaning this is the place where a veteran will pay a few $1,000s, buy an acre of desert, scrub desert, and put a single wide mobile home out there. And when I used to do these evaluations in the field, I oftentimes, when I would go to said single wide mobile home, there would be the dog, and they would greet me at the door with the shotgun in their hand, kind of thing. And these are people who are don't feel safe around other people. They have been, for whatever reason, that they've been traumatized, they've seen combat, they have been hurt, and certainly that is a prevailing thing among the veteran population. Now, I will make a distinction. I work with people who are challenged. That's why I exist. It's my mission. I want you to evaluate if you recharge with other people, You go to a party and you feel energized afterwards. You go to a nightclub and you feel energized afterwards. You go to the gym and it's really crowded. You just love the energy of the people. You go out to happy hour. You're very social. You love being around people, and that actually being around people, a family gathering, family dinner, holidays, gives you energy where you actually recharge with people. We would call you an extrovert, that you are extroverted. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to do with being the life of the party. It's that you get energy from other people. You like it. You love being around people. That's one side of the coin. The flip side of the coin is if you recharge alone, you need your space, you need your time, you need time alone, you enjoy your own company, you can't wait to get home from work to just stop listening, stop talking. You might be an introvert. And of course, the psychological instrument that I'm referring to that measures this is the Myers Briggs type instrument, MBTI. And you can look that up online. I am, I perform those assessments on patients and on people. And the reason it's important is that I don't want you to think you're necessarily mentally ill. If you just have a preference for not being around a lot of people, that's totally fine. I have a preference for not being around a lot of people. I do my best work. No, that's not really fair. I do work with a lot of people. I teach large classes. I teach large groups. I have online like this. I enjoy it, and I notice that if I don't get enough of my alone time, my private time, my quiet time, um, I get tired. I just get tired. It wears me out. Whereas an extrovert would be, working, let's say, and again, this is funny. I wonder, my brother and I were talking about this the other day. I wonder if I didn't, my brother's a psychologist, if we didn't do the work we did around people all day long, if maybe I'd be more extroverted. I don't know. I do know that every minute of every day I'm with people, I'm talking, I'm listening every minute of every day. Lately, especially, it's been very busy. Teaching classes on weekends, doing evening webinars, doing YouTubeLIVEs Friday afternoon, today I've had two groups I've ran. I see patients, and by the end of the day, I just want to be a vegetable. I do. An eggplant, large purple eggplant sitting on the couch with a cover. And I want to watch a movie. I don't want to talk. I don't want to listen. I don't want to have to think. And I think you understand what I'm saying. I don't think this is that bizarre. The distinction I want you to hear today, if you get nothing else out of today, is that a preference is not mental illness, right? Agoraphobia is a mental illness. So agoraphobia is the fear of leaving the house. So particularly around COVID, and people were at homebound and they were doing telehealth or remote work, and they just wouldn't leave the house. Some people developed an anxiety disorder called agoraphobia, where they're just afraid of leaving the house and they wouldn't leave the house. They'd have their groceries delivered. They just terrified to leave the house. That's a mental illness that requires treatment. If you have a preference for being alone and enjoying your time alone, that's not a mental illness. Even though your friends may give you a hard time that you're antisocial and you're agoraphobic, and they may give you a hard time that come on out with us, come to happy hour, come to the club, come to the party, that kind of thing, and you're just kind of like, I don't really like that. I don't really like going out. Um, and I will tell you, lest you think if you're more of a loner that you are lonely. A lot of times you don't have to be lonely. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. And some of you may have a few close people in your life, and that's it. You're fine. There's just nothing wrong. You have one or two close friends, close family members. You can be a spouse or a child. You're good. Other people who are extroverted and are out and about are no less lonely, by the way. And I hear that from a lot of my patients, where, gee, I'm the life of the party. I go to happy hour. I organize parties for work. I organize parties. I have parties at my house. And yet I feel so isolated and alone. So they're really different scales. You can be in and around people all the time, still feel lonely, and you can be kind of a loner and feel completely fulfilled, just watching TV or scrolling or doing your thing, doing your hikes in the woods and that sort of stuff. And so there isn't pathology. There's nothing pathological necessarily about either side. You get to decide how you recharge. And if you recharge alone, then get some time alone. Now, what you will notice if you don't is that's when you get grumpy. If you're burning the candle at both ends and not getting either the recharge time with groups socially or the recharge time alone, you'll get grumpy. You'll get depressed. You'll feel like you're under siege. And that happens with me. And it's so funny. It's so cute. And I mean no disrespect. So I'm teaching a lot. And invariably, people want me to stay with them. And I'm saying this kind of weird just because I can't imagine staying with somebody. Now, there are those of you out there that love to stay with people. It's free, it's cheaper. They have a guest room. How great. I get to save money. I mean, that is so beautiful that people would want to stay with you. I don't typically stay with people. And I'm just going to let that hang in the air. I usually will get a hotel. And I think you know why. When you stay with people, you have to talk to them. When you stay with people, you have to acknowledge them. When you're staying with them, you're in their house. You have to abide by their rules. No matter how big the house and how gracious the people are, it would be rude, right, to, go to your room, shut the door, and not talk to the family or talk to the kids or talk to that kind of thing. And so you get to decide how you want to do it. But I decided a long time ago. Now, ironically, I love having guests in my home. I love having people stay with me. Totally fine. I don't mind people staying with me all wherever I live. Don't mind that. But when I'm working and I'm teaching a class in front of a bunch of people all day long, or I'm working in the clinic, the last thing that I want to do or have to do when I'm done with work is entertain others or be the life of the party or do a lot of talking or that kind of thing. So your homework as a result of this live is to establish whether or not you are an introvert or an extrovert. Do you recharge alone? Do you recharge with people? Either way is fine. Now, some of you may be a hybrid that you notice sometimes you're more of a loner, other times you're more social, totally fine. How you benchmark success in this arena is how you feel. Are you feeling anxious or nervous or depressive or lonely or bored or under siege or just like I got to get away kind of thing? If you're feeling like you're going to jump out of your skin, you got to get away from these people, chances are you haven't had enough alone time. If you're feeling bored, listless, depressive, maybe you want to look at maybe doing some socialization. One of the things, I had a veteran this week where I was just asking him, he's had a rough go of it. And I said, are you pretty isolated? He goes, yeah, my family doesn't talk to me. I don't have any social contacts. I don't really have any friends. And he goes, but I really don't like people. People are idiots. And I was like, yeah, I get it. And so I invited him to join our group. We have an intensive outpatient group here at Heads Up. And first he was like, dude, I just told you I don't like people. Why would you invite me to the group? I said, well, you also told me that you're pretty lonely and pretty isolated and you don't have anybody to talk to. We're going to get you into therapy here, but one type of therapy is group therapy. So he goes, but I don't like leaving my house. I said, well, that's okay. You just do it on Zoom, just like this. You voyeur in. You don't have to have your camera on. You can listen to the group, see if it's for you. But I am concerned that you have absolutely nobody. And these are all other veterans, and you can have some camaraderie and talk about it. So he was all about it. I haven't heard how his first group session went. So what's going on now, this whole government shutdown thing, and people ask me every day, like I woke up and I'm feeling anxious, and I don't have any reason to feel anxious. I don't know what it is. Right now, between all of the wars and all of the economies and all of the stuff particularly, and I'm feeling the government shutdown because it impacts my patients directly. So every day, all day, revolving door. I'm not sure about my benefits. I'm not sure about food stamps. I'm not sure about my housing. These are basic survival things. I've also had patients, this is a funny story. I think I told it. Family of 5 or 6. It's a single parent and like 5 kids. And they come in, and the particular type of Medicaid that they had a small copay for medication, like $3. And each kid comes in, each kid has a Frappuccino from Starbucks. These are little kids, like 5, 6, 7 years old. They each have a big venti Frappuccino, and the copay was like going to be $3 for one of the kids' medicines. And, the mother was just outraged, at $3. And the prescriber, who is known to speak their mind, basically said, One of those frappuccinos was probably $6. And so, you if you can afford a frappuccino per kid, you can afford a $3 copay for the medicine that's life-saving kind of thing. And so I totally understand that point of view as well. And the purpose of this life isn't to get into a political conversation, but understand that we are always at choice and we are always choosing. And most of the people in America, at least, come from, and I said this last time, from an external point of view. And if you've been online, there's a lot of outrage going on among people who have historically, multi generationally been living on the government, who are getting pretty upset that their benefits are going away or being cut. And I understand because and again, I also understand if you have a bunch of kids and you've been using food stamps to feed your kids and you're a single parent, it to say you have 2 weeks to get a job and figure out how to feed a family when you've been assisted by the government isn't fair either. Meaning, it's one thing to say, "Okay, you have 5 years, to get off of Section 8 or get off of food stamps," or whatever it is. I get that. So I totally understand both sides, and I hear it from my patients every day that the shutdown, while being political, is now impacting the rank and file, people in America, and people are justifiably outraged. I have no prediction as to how long that's going to go, and people will figure it out. Now, what I do see happening, some of you are old enough to remember the joke. In my day, we had to walk barefoot uphill both ways in snow to school, and we had to, we didn't get treats or snacks or water bottles. We had to drink out of hoses and all that. How the older generation will say how they had it so much worse. But what I've watched a lot of these grandmotherly types getting on YouTube, and that's why I love this forum. And I love that we all can talk to each other and everybody can do it. It's all equal. And these are grandmotherly elite types getting on saying, look, you've been spoiled. You've been getting $2, 3, $4,000 a month in food stamps. You've been buying snacks and sweets and cakes and all that kind of stuff. Go back to the basics, and they're talking about how they raised their kids, in poverty, or they raised their kids with not a lot to go around. And I remember, again, not to do my own version of that, but we grew up poor. I remember that we had Hamburger Helper, and we had, a big night was Kentucky Fried Chicken, man. She brought home a bucket of chicken that was just like hallelujah, thank God. Kentucky Fried Chicken was the greatest thing. And so in the coming weeks, I'd like you to notice your energy and notice what you're being impacted by and how you're navigating it. It's pretty funky right now. Now it is October 31st today, November 9th, Mercury goes into retrograde, and that can have an impact on things like contracting, on things like the computer systems, cybernetic systems. You may notice that the internet's kind of wonky, your phone's not working. You may have to restart your computer, restart your phone, and that starts and goes for a few weeks. And so all of these things contribute to who we are, and understand that I'd also really like you to reflect on what you're proud of and what obstacles that you've come, because I just don't think that we take enough or give ourselves enough credit for being so powerful and so strong. And all of you have already overcome so many things. So I think that'll be enough for today. Coming up on November 8th and 9th is our next level 1 training. It's available on the website, drpatrickscott.com. In February, we have a level 2 class in person live here in Mount Charleston. January 10th, we just today decided to do an evening or late afternoon evening with Kumu. It's going to be psychic readings and entity removal in San Diego, which I don't really know much more about it. I've just been invited to come back to San Diego to do just a kind of a half day. Typically what happens during any one of my classes is I will do a reading, a spot reading or a cold reading, or I'll do some sort of a entity removal or energy clearing. And some of the students that were in the STFU class said, could you just do that? Just come talk about that, do readings, read us, clear us, talk about our patterns from an intuitive read point of view. And so that's what we're doing. I think we're calling it an evening with Kumu. It's January 10th. I don't have any more information, but stay tuned to the website for that, which we will list to that and put a registration link. It won't be very expensive, I don't think. I'm not sure what we're charging for it. Okay, so have a wonderful Halloween, trick or treat, be safe out there, and we will see you next week.